Okay, Sabaya. And if I'm not recording, it's okay. So in the previous video, we did the group by function. How do we combine data from different Excel sheets and how we do group by. Now the group by function is a lot more powerful than this. You can actually do sum. You can do mainly the main one is the one that we use a lot is count, sum, average or mean. Those are very common ones that you do. Right. In this part, we're going to take this example that we did, and I'm going to write it to save the data, the result, to an Excel file so I can send it to somebody. How do I do that? I can do this. I can take the same command. I'm going to create another cell. All right. So this was the second step here. I didn't write it. This was the second step. So I'm going to take the same stuff here, same command, and repeat it again. So we can leave this alone. Command copy. And I'm going to do two things here. So I'm going to say here, it's just more exercise, right? You're going to say, calculate the average of the two tests of test 1 and test 2, and do what with them? And save the result to an Excel file. All right? Calculate the average of test 1 and test 2, and write the average to test 1. So what we did in the previous video, we talked about how we get the data for test 1. So we created a data frame that only called test 1. So now I'm going to change it to a different thing. So I'm going to say test data. Test data include all the grades, but all the rows. This will give me all the rows. This one will give me the ID, because this is what I'm going to group by. This is my identifier. And test 1, and what else? Comma, test 2. Then I'm going to group by this thing called group by the ID, and it will calculate the average for me for test 1 and test 2. The result, I'm going to call it what? Test average, right? So test average equal test data, group by ID, and then I get the mean. So now if I do test average, just to see it, that head, I should get the averages of the two tests. So if I run it, you'll see I got my ID and I got my test average for test 1 and test average for test 2. But that does not write it to a database or does not write it to an Excel file. So the next step is that we take this data frame that we created and put it in an Excel file. How do we do that? First, we create, let me pause for a minute here. Okay, now what we do, Sabaya, what we're going to do, we're going to write this data frame into a database. How do we do that? First, we need to, now we say write the new data frame, which is what? What do we call it? Test average. To a file, to the Excel file. First, we need to define an object called writer. This object is equal to PD, Pandas. The Pandas has an Excel writer in it. Excel writer. And then I need to give it the name of the data frame that we want to, or the name of the file that we want to write to. The name of the file is called test grades, test average, right? Let's not put blank. Dot what? XLSX. All right? It doesn't matter. It's okay. All right. So writer, this will create the Excel file. Now we can select the sheet that we want to write to. So I can say data. What is the data name that we have? What is the name that we want to write? Test average. That's the one we want to write, right? So test average dot 1 2 dot Excel, and then we give it what? We give it the name of the writer. What is the name of the writer? The name of the file, basically, and which is called what? Writer. So that is writer, then comma what? The sheet name, whatever we want to call it. So if I want to say called sheet 1, that will be my sheet 1. Finally, we save the data. All right. So this one will create the file, the writer. This one will write to the sheet that I want. And then we will give it the name of the data frame that I want to write to a database. So the data frame to Excel, writer, the sheet name, and then save it. All right, so we found a mistake. So this should be an underscore, not 2 dot underscore. Okay, so write the name of the file name, test average to an Excel file, and then we save it. Now, if I run it, what happened? Where is the Excel file? Where is the Excel file? If I go to the project, if I go back to the project, do I have a new file here? Do you see it? So we have a new file in the project. It saved the file to the project. What if I want to see it? I can select it, and then I can do what? Download it. Now, if I open it, it would have the stuff that I had before, which is what? The ID, the test 1 average, and the test 2 average. So why would you do something like this? Why would I save data into an Excel file? Suppose that you are working in a company. Forget that you are doing grades. Suppose that you are you're doing some investment analysis, and your client asks you to write a report. And you're doing all your reporting, your data analysis in Pandas. But the client does not understand Pandas. They want you to send them an Excel file. So you can use this technique to send them to massage the data that you want, and then send them the result after you're done with the analysis. Is that clear? Yeah. So that is the end of this video. How do we save data to an Excel file? All right. And the next parts, what we will do is that how we use graphs with Pandas in order to draw some charts. Why? Because if you want to see trends, and then if you want to see analysis, this is how you do it. Okay. So that is the end of this video.